Hello everyone, this is Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. You might hear my daughter in the background chattering away, but I wanted to take a few moments and just show off my Star Wars EU book collection, how it's grown a little bit since the last time I showed it. But yeah, let's talk about it a little bit. It's just a process, it's in process. I'm always trying to add to the collection, and my stipulations for the collection, just me personally, I like to pick as many hardcover editions as I can, and these are all before Disney put their Legends banner on it. Again, no shame in buying Legends if that's all you can, find. I mean, it's very hard to find a lot of these, so I get it. I'm not shaming anybody who buys the Legends, but it is a little bit of a slap in the face to suddenly take this wonderful, wonderful continuity. And EU was canon. Let's just stop pretending it wasn't. No matter what George Lucas officially said or whatever, Lucasfilm officially whatever, this was the only place to find Star Wars stories. So, and they were all, working together in a coherent universe, cohesive universe, whatever the word I'm trying to say is there. So this was, for all intents and purposes, for the fans, this was canon. And for Disney to suddenly come along and go, scrap that, that's Legends. We're doing our own continuity that's real canon, It was a slap in the face for a lot of us. But anyway, let's talk about a little bit of this. First off up here, I've showed these off before, but there's a lot of Star Wars EU content that was originally published on websites, maybe the Old Republic game, or maybe in the old, Star Wars magazine. And they are available on hard drives and whatnot out there that people have, not hard drives, but OneDrives and such like that, clouds and whatnot. So you can find a lot of that stuff. And I printed it all out just so I have it as a hard copy. And I put it in these binders. I still got to print out some more. Even some things like old children's stories that, you really can't find in print or anything like that anymore. I print all that out. Maybe one day I'll go through that and show some of that off. Then, of course, there's the guides. Guides to, the chronology, guides to, the atlas here, guides to the alien races, the planets, all of these things. And with these essential guides, they put out the first edition of them in the 90s. And I'll give you an example here. So the guide to the alien species. Now in the 90s, they put this out and they've got, let me look at the characters instead. That was a better example. Characters, here we go. So, they would talk about the characters in the movies because that's all that existed, the original trilogy at that point, and the Star Wars EU. You got Nomi Sunrider there, some of the comic characters, some of the book characters. So you would get that. Same thing with the droids, vehicles, weapons, all of that. A lot of the stuff from the EU, the comics or the books showed up. Once George Lucas put out the prequel trilogy, they re-released these guides as the new essential guides. So what I have is I've got the original guides there, but then I've got the new editions too. So you see this one, the new essential guide to characters. It includes still the original trilogy characters, but it includes all the prequel characters. And as such, a lot of the EU stuff gets kicked to the side. So it's nice to have both all the prequel coverage and the original, EU stuff coverage. So those guides, if you want to get the full deal, you usually have to get both the original essential guide to whatever topic and then the new essential guide. Other things I definitely recommend getting is yes, my daughter. I definitely recommend getting the source books for different role-playing games. These are really useful. They tie together the universe a lot, and they can be hard to find, but I was able to, I got Heir to the Empire, I got some of the Sith ones, the Star Wars, of course, even the Old Republic, Tales of the Jedi, rather. So that's pretty cool. Of course, you need your guide to the universe, your guide, the essential reader's companion, and so forth. Then we get down to the actual, I've tried my best to put the collection in the order of the chronology of events in the EU. I think I'm pretty close. Maybe I've got a mistaken placement here or there. But starting, of course, with, the supernatural, sort of the Silmarillion of the Star Wars universe. That was kind of a big deal recently. The Dawn of the Jedi era, Tales of the Jedi, going through the Old Republic era. Then working our way to the Darth Bane trilogy. And I'm pretty proud of this. I've got the full Jedi Apprentice series. And these are the stories of young Obi-Wan, apprentice under Qui-Gon Jinn. So this is a great series to have. I do have the full series, finally, only available in paperback. Then we move on to, these are a pain in the butt to collect. The Star Wars Episode 1 Adventures. I've got all of the stories, but they released it in 2 different editions. And then they've got these game books, which have the same names as their counterpart novels. It's really hard. Oh, there goes Obi-Wan. Sometimes you order one and they end up sending you the game book instead, because just some used seller on thrift books or whatever doesn't really know what they have. So anyway, this is a work in progress, but those can be difficult. You go through, of course, the mainline novels, but there's a lot of little fun children's books or whatever that would pop out as well that I get, especially for episode 1 there. Just collecting the whole deal. Of course, we go through episode 1. Jedi Quest, this is the series. I have this complete series too, and this is Anakin as a Padawan working with Obi-Wan. This is between episodes 1 and 2. And you can find sometimes a library-bound book. I've talked about this before, but the Jedi Quest books were only released in paperback, but libraries, sometimes they'll get a special hardback edition made just for them, or they'll print it or bind it themselves. But a hardcover, which makes sense because a library book's going to get a lot more wear and tear. So that's a pretty cool find if you can get those used here and there. I do try and find those whenever I can. Of course, we've got the original 2D Clone Wars, which that's the real deal there. And so as you can see, those who are in the know will see there's, a gap or two here and there. Like I said, I do have a paperback, even if I can get a hardcover. Like, for example, Darth Maul Shadow Hunter. The paperback version has a short story that was only released online at the time when the hardcover came out. So by the time it went to mass market paperback, they included the short story, which is kind of a prequel to the tale. So sometimes you'll see I'll have a soft cover or a paperback cover as well as a hardcover, just for that reason, to have it all, conclusively in print. Got some great older books here, older editions. This is one, technically a Disney printing. Oh, there goes Mara Jade. Technically a Disney printing that I have, but it's the entire Han Solo trilogy, and it's before they started putting Legends on all their stuff. So it's a nice hardback. It's from Hyperion Press, which is technically owned by Disney, but it's still a nice edition, and it doesn't have the word Legends on it anywhere, so it meets my criteria. I just realized that I had turned the camera off as I was completing the video, so if I repeat myself a little bit here, bear with me. But just showing the rest of the collection here. I do, like I said before, I am very proud of having the Dark Forces hardcover collection trilogy there. That third one's hard to find. I wish I could find the X-Wing in library-bound books at some point. That would be great. But one of the things that's hard to find is these Dark Horse omnibus collections, depending on which one you're trying to find, because you can get some of them that are reissued now under Marvel with the Legends banner. But again, trying to predate that. So for the Shadows of the Empire run, the novel gives you one perspective, the video game gives you another perspective, but the comics gave you Chewie and Leia's perspective. And it was not just a simple run. There were some one-shots and some other things, that came out and whatnot. So it's nice to find the omnibuses, the original Dark Horse omnibus, when you can. Of course, some Ewok and Droid cartoons there, all of that good stuff. I actually have a lot of gaps in my collection towards the new Jedi Order era, but it's coming along. And I've got my Tales of the Jedi, the Dark Horse Tales of the Jedi comics at the end, because that's a great sort of compilation series that just tells the stories from all different times in the chronology, and it's a great one. Do need to get more of the original Marvel comics. I've got an omnibus here that Dark Horse put out of the original Marvel, so I need to, that's volume 1, but I need to get some more of that. I think Disney's re-released some, but again, the hunt continues. It's just a hobby. It's a hobby to collect these, to try to build and curate a nice library of them that was the original stories, everything pre-Disney before Star Wars kind of went to pots. So, I'm proud of it. It's got a lot of work to go, but I'm proud of it. So it's coming along. I'll keep you updated. Maybe I'll do another updated library video later. But if you see anything in here that you have a question about or like to know a little bit more of, I know many of you collect these too, and many of you probably have way bigger Star Wars U-book collections than I do. But if you have anything you have a question about or like to see more of, like me to pull out and show it a little bit more on camera or something like that, just let me know, and I can make another one of these easily. I don't mind showing off the collection. And or if you want any more tips on where to find some of these, I do go on thrift books or Abe books or whatever, Amazon, or not Amazon, eBay, Mercari and whatnot. And then there are some groups like on Facebook and so forth. But you do always have to, if you find a book you want and you see it on sale, always shop around, because sometimes somebody will really try to gouge you and, get a lot more than it's worth. Or they have this little trick of charging you a decent amount, and then the shipping, they do this on Amazon a lot. The shipping is like $100 or whatever, So make sure you're doing your homework and you're going slow when you're really trying to get a good edition or a good book or whatever. So that's all for now. I'll be back with more, but till next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue Star Wars stories you love.